What you're about to see is an all-new special of Unplanned Bloopers. This material contains giggles, goofs, and guffaws. It's all new, isn't it? Roll it, guys. Don't roll me, roll the film.
We did it. Of course we did it, because we learned how not to get out.
We learned this.
You'll find out in a minute.
Now look, this is Pinky, the most pampered porker in Britain. He lives in absolute luxury, as you can see. This is one very important thing missing from his life. Find out what that is. Get off! Join us at the Iron Station. Go!
All right, now listen. I want you to lower me directly over the microchip where this... Be right back.
From Hollywood, it's the all-new TV Censored Bloopers #7. Starring Dick Clark, with special guest stars Barbara Eden and Jane Kennedy, with special appearances by Donna Dixon and Phil Foster, and featuring the unplanned censored flubs and bloopers of Lucy Arnaz, Sonny Bono, Cher, Chuck Connors, Tim Conway, Mac Davis, Senator Robert Dole, Jeff Edwards, Terry Garr, Tom Hanks, George Kennedy, Penny Marshall, Joe Namath, Rick Nelson, Burt Reynolds, Peter Scolari, Lindsay Wagner, Cindy Williams, and many more of your favorite stars. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of TV Censored Bloopers, Dick Clark.
Well, we meet again. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. And welcome to the 7th edition of TV Censored Bloopers, the only show on television whose theme song is the beautiful and haunting... Yes, it's music to my ears. And tonight, we have orchestrated an all-new symphony of blown lines and giggles and slips and trips and falls for your listening and your viewing pleasure. We have some rather interesting goofs from every walk of motion picture and television life, bloopers from current events, news, comedy, drama, and while we're on the subject of comedy and drama, wherever you go, people are talking about politics, campaigning, speeches, polls, debates, and promises. You know, politicians are very sure of themselves. They are confident. They are ready to get their message across.
There are two major promises he has not been able to keep, and those are the promises to put more Americans back to work, and the second promise is the promise to... what is that second promise? Deficits, budget, balance the budget, that's right.
We're almost out of time for this program. Of course, we'll be back with you later, indeed, throughout the day. We haven't a result for you yet. We thought we might have, but nevertheless, let's look at the state of the parties at the moment. And there it is. I think I should read that. The Official Unionists nil, DUP nil, the SDLP nil, Alliance nil, Sinn Féin nil, others nil. Well, that will certainly confound all the predictions in any election.
The chair has been asked to announce that through an attempt... Oh, God, make my mouth work.
We'll return with Miss Jane Kennedy and the latest news, weather, and sports bloopers, so don't move a muscle.
The county commission ordered a study to determine what restrictions should be placed on the center before it would be allowed to expand. the commission put off making any decision until next Tuesday. John McPherson, News Center 2. Where should I say I am?
For the rest of tonight, partly cloudy and mild temperatures. Well, same to you, mister. 69 degrees.
In spite of the threats of violence, the Pan American Games opened without an incident today in San Juan, Puerto Rico. A packed house was on hand to watch as the athletes of 33 nations paraded into the stadium. Wait a minute. Those aren't the athletes. Hold it, hold it. That was Miss Colorado. She was not at the Pan Am Games.
How do you know?
I was there.
Well, as you can see, it's time now for news, weather, and sports. And to join our news team, we have a lady of exceptional talent. She is an actress and anchor woman. She was the host of NFL Today and the first female host of television's greatest sports legends. She won an Emmy for her hosting of the Rose Parade. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jane Kennedy. Oh, Jane, please sit. Oh. You know, you're a very remarkable lady. Every time I look at you, now you're so pretty to look at, but you sing and you dance and you act and you narrate, you do everything. But years and years ago, you were a regular on the Dean Martin show?
That's right, yeah. I started off on Dean Martin as a dingling sister.
You said it, I didn't. You were a dingling, yeah.
I never liked that name either, but that's what I was.
You did a magazine show once, and I never know what people are going to say when they come out here. Something about vegetable soup. What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, I host a lot of different types of shows, and we did a news magazine type of format show, and there was a segment on it about cooking. So I was telling everybody about how I make my homemade vegetable soup. And my mom happened to be visiting Los Angeles at the time, and I went through the whole deal about how you put this in and that. And they had pre-made a sample recipe that they would have sitting on the side so that when you finished your description, you could pull it out and say, and this is what it's supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. So at the end of it, I say, trying to be smart, but the real way to test to make sure you got good soup is to have your mother taste it, right? And if mom likes it, it's good. And I grabbed my mom and I pulled her up on stage and I said, Mom, taste this.
She didn't know you were going to do this?
No, she didn't. And so I put the spoon in her mouth. She takes this real little taste, you know, and she says, it's good. I said, no, you got to do it this way. And I take a big spoonful and I go, it's good, you know, exaggerating in the whole bit. She says, no, it's spicy.
You should have quit while you were ahead. I bet that made news.
Yes, it did. As a matter of fact, it also made me realize that doing the news is not as easy as it looks. As a matter of fact, news people are not always perfect.
I think we have proof positive. Take a look over here.
Okay.
City inspectors ordered that the building be torn down. They say it has deteriorated too much since it became vacant 2 years ago.
So a freeze wasn't a problem this time, but in the coming year, some experts say that growing... This thing's on here. So a freeze wasn't a problem this time, but in the coming year, some experts say that...
Tell me what happened, very briefly.
This came off my motorcycle on my radio. Fell off my radio. It's a knob. It's a radio knob.
That was just as you were approaching the nuts and bolts in the street that they're cleaning up now. How do you feel about that? Is that an old one?
It's a new one.
Now, what this food commentator doesn't realize is that what he is about to taste is a very spicy Chinese food.
Jane, here comes the first taste of that spicy Chinese food. I think this is what you call a slow burn.
Copy of Kenton's recipe. Just send a stamped, self-addressed envelope.
Now watch.
The site, once it's cleared, could become the area for retail development. And he said it's not too far-fetched. This is Cy Becker, Springfield Television News.
Now, the reporter's got the story right, but keep your eye on that truck there. This one coming by now. This is a very long truck, right? Now, hold it, watch out. Whoa, whoa! How about our car there? Whoa! Let's get the camera around there and see what it did. This is our mobile news unit station wagon formerly there, however, now.
I'll walk back. Okay. Put this on the news. Get the here,
Good morning from Action News 19. Here's some headline news this morning. The city of Jerusalem is decked with Egyptian flags.
I have a feeling you thought it was a rehearsal. Have you ever done weather in your life?
Only once. I predicted that it would not rain at a football game, and it's in the Silver Dome, so who would ever think that it's going to rain indoors? I said on the air, well, at least we don't have to worry about the weather conditions today. But in the Silver Dome, they have that high metallic ceiling. The roof is all metal, and it was very cold, and it was snowing, so there's snow that we had packed up on top of the roof. And then you get the heat and the energy of everybody that's in the stadium, and it starts to rise. So you have the cold front and the hot front meeting, and it started raining, actually raining inside the stadium, inside the Silver Dome.
That's a first.
A first.
Not only is the weather unpredictable, but sometimes the weather prediction is a little unpredictable. Notice.
Temperatures are going to be kind of in the high 80s and maybe the low 90s. So really a big contrast. Hello, blue wall. We're going to have the, well, where'd he go? This is what you call TV magic, folks. We're having a little problem with our board back there today. I tell you what, I'm going to step out of the way and let's just go ahead and put up the weather forecast and, or whatever comes up. We'll just read it off. Okay, well, we're not going to have that. They want me to move back in here. We're going to let down the map, right? This is fun.
And now John Hoffman is here with our weather. John, it was a beautiful day to be at the zoo or any place else you just happened to be. Tell us what tomorrow is going to be like.
Well, thank you. I really couldn't hear a word you were saying. I assume you were talking to me and introducing me.
The other thing that will kind of be keeping us cloudy is Tropical Storm Dennis. We've been talking about Dennis for quite a while.
Funny stuff.
I love the news and the weather and the sports because there's a premise that everything ought to run smoothly in your reporting and so forth. Now, you've been the host of the long-running Greatest Sports Legends show, and everybody knows you for your fine work on NFL Today, but somebody told me once, was it your first time on the air when you had trouble?
Oh, yeah. Yes, welcome to live television. You see it with the weathermen and all of that. But the very first time I ever did a live show, and it was on the NFL Today, and I wanted so badly to make a good impression and do a good job, and I had really prepared right for it. I went to my hometown, Cleveland, to get a story on Sam Rutigliano, who was coaching, his first year coaching the Cleveland Browns. So I said, well, at least I'm on familiar ground. I know I'm going to do a great job and everything. And we get in the studio, and Brent does this fantastic lead-in, this new girl on the show, and she's got this interview. And what have you got for us today, Jane? And I said, well, we've got Sam Rutigliano for the Cleveland Browns, and I'm so proud that I did it perfectly. My nerves are going like this. And then they go to the film clip, and it's not there. Dead air and absolutely nothing. And so we're going, well, what happened down there in the tape room? And they came back and they said the tape machine literally just chewed up the tape.
That was your first
Very first time on the air. Brent turns to me and he says, welcome to live television. Now, what did you do for the interview? And I had to recount the entire thing. And luckily, I knew what I was talking about.
You remember, talking about live, we have a few similar moments here of very, very capable sportscasters who hopefully can look back on it and laugh now.
The National League flag goes up for grabs tomorrow afternoon in St. Louis, where the Cardinals will throw Joaquin Andujar at the Braves. Atlanta will counter with Phil Niekro. You gotta go with the knucklehead, well, the knuckleballer, Phil Niekro. I wondered when I was gonna say that.
Now, here's an interesting match between a reporter and a loudspeaker.
Nestled between the Mediterranean Sea and a hillside in Monaco is one of Europe's most glamorous tennis clubs. The Monte Carlo Country Club attracts beautiful people and movie stars from all over the world.
Mr. Papard, please come on.
Nestled between the Mediterranean Sea and a hillside in Monaco is one of Europe's most beautiful tennis clubs.
Mr. Porter.
Nestled between the Mediterranean Sea and a hillside in Monaco is one of Europe's most glamorous tennis clubs. The Monte Carlo Country Club attracts movie stars and beautiful people from all over the world.
Down the courts before we start.
I knew I could make it. See, it's easy.
You know what I love about you? You do so many things and you do them all well. You are a sportscaster and a performer and a talker and a doer. And your latest venture featuring Jane Kennedy is the exercise video album of a thing called Love Your Body.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell me.
But exercise is an area where you can maintain control because you're the master of your own body. And when you are mentally and physically fit, there's absolutely nothing that you can't do.
Well, you are obviously physically fit. Did you say mentally?
Yes. And 5, 6, point. Right? Okay. And 5, 6, 7, roll it. Okay, ready? Oh, he's so cute. Should I show him some exercises? That's stretch. Oh, it looks like he's looking at me.
Who was the spectator, the little guy on the ground?
Every time we got ready to shoot, the gopher, I don't know how he got there. He just would poke his head up. And then the very next shot, the next setup, and we had this whale coming by. We had all these things coming through the video.
You have legions of fans out there. Miss Jane Kennedy, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next on TV Censored Bloopers, a trip with Burt Reynolds, some vintage Rick Nelson, and a pack of St. Bernards that aren't exactly saints. Stay tuned. Song, I think it was from a Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers movie. The song was, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Well, here's some slips, trips, and falls from performers who have no choice but to do just that. Pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and start all over again.
1, 2, Hi, British. Stay tuned to TV 20 for more real people. Coming up right after station identification.
The perfect activity for your weekend, but whatever you have planned, have a good one.
And I'm glad we have a weekend coming up because I'm going to need it.
Maybe we won't see you Monday. Have a nice weekend. After you.
This part of the bridge that the parents are particularly concerned about, the part that leads down a steep slope of an old coal tip, down to the river and the railway bridge, all irresistible. You see what I
mean? Now, here's a little quiz for you. What do doors, cars, guillotines, pants, and flames all have in common? You give up? Well, they're props that can make an actor feel like he should have stayed in bed. Now, watch my friend Jeff Edwards. He's in a cooking demonstration. Now, when things go wrong, the true test of a good talk show host is he is unflappable. This is a beauty. Watch.
Well, after drop, you
have to stuff them up, yeah.
Just deep fry it, okay. And oh my God.
Okay, folks. Well,
you eat a fry.
What we're going to do is here. Let's move it over.
Yeah.
Here, I'll get it. Dick Clark, we'll be on your show soon, I'm sure. Okay, now we have 2 fires. Now, when you do this at home, be sure that you're a professional. Only professionals should do this at home. Okay.
All right.
I think the best thing to do is move over here. We have any baking soda? Do not ever blow a fire. Never blow a fire. Okay, and don't hit it like that. Best thing to do is to say, help! There we are.
Can you hold the blade up there so I can see what the pressure plate on the blade?
Okay, now what we're going to do
We're going to run this razor out, sharp blade, metal blade, right through your neck. But it shouldn't hurt.
Oh, Barry! Just a minute! Get me out of here, Joe!
Tell him where the blade went. Forgot to... We're doing this trick.
Ranger? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Now, here's a very young Rick Nelson and his friend Wally.
Here!
Now, this next piece of business with Wally's pants is unplanned. You know, there are a lot of people that swear that a dog is man's best friend, and there are a lot of people who contend that a cat is man's best friend. And I'm sure that there are some who believe that a turtle or a parakeet or even a fish or a pig is man's best friend. The fact of the matter is that people love animals and animals love people. All you got to do is convince the people and the animals in these next scenes. First of all, we have a reporter in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Now, Albuquerque is not exactly the alligator capital of the world.
The closest most people will come to seeing an alligator here in Albuquerque is at the Rio Grande Zoo.
Behind Here in Royal Park, you see a lot of people jogging with their dogs, and what amazes me is that the dogs just don't seem to come by. He is dying over here.
How did the export sound?
Come on, let's have another. Come on. No, come on.
Are there any other points that need to be watched? No. The thing is, some burners get a canker in their ear because their ears fall over, so they've got to be prepared for vet spills as well. At the moment, all these lovely lads and lasses here are all in good health. Hey, hey!
A good friend of ours, the talented Donna Dixon, was one of the stars of the zany comedy series Bosom Buddies. Now, somehow or other, she found out that some tape existed of scenes from the show that didn't quite go as planned. Now, luckily, we were able to hang on to these scenes, and we asked Donna to tell us just what happened.
On Bosom Buddies, there were a lot of bloopers. In fact, I think the funniest outtakes, of course, were the bloopers. And I wish that you could show some of them, but unfortunately you can't because they would be rated X. In this particular scene, Kip takes moi to a cabin up in the mountains for a skiing trip. Now, he's really excited. He thinks now this is it. And I am very upset because I went to the skiing lodge on false pretenses, and I was supposed to say Mount Wussy. But it came out a little different. We spent more time with each other working on a series than with our own families. So, of course, we were a family. And I think that's what made our show so special, because you could tell that we really were having fun and that we really did care for each other. And it showed.
Thank you, Donna. Coming up, Barbara Eden, Bill Foster, and Sonny and Cher.
Next time that anybody calls me that, they're not going to get to be an elderly anything.
Now, I can understand you're getting upset, dear.
Yes. I say fighting, and I had to say this because I forgot what I was going to say.
Hey, do you remember when you were a kid and your teacher used to make you tie a string around your finger so that you wouldn't forget something important? Well, here's some well-known actors who maybe should have tied strings around their fingers so they wouldn't forget their next lines. Now, here's Lindsay Wagner with a lapse of bionic memory.
Right, I'll hold.
I just talked with Colonel Austin, and we demand that you give us a chance to save Kurt Oscar.
This happens to be a security matter, Miss Summers. Now, don't cause another problem.
Problem? Cock-a-doodle.
Cock-a-doodle.
You know, I've been practicing those exercises that you gave me, and it made me feel a lot more relaxed and kind of in touch with myself. It's nice. That was no accident, and neither is this. It's all part of his plan to make some kind of a rendezvous.
Now, what Chuck Connors says here isn't in the script.
Picked up a horse once. You want me to show you?
Yeah, let me see you do it.
I promised myself I was going legit.
Hey, Jake, you want to bet?
Plant your peepers on that, pal, huh? Genuine boa cut, belly cut boa. You're very
From my granddaddy to me, from your granddaddy to you. Well, that's not quite right, is it?
Not very good. And as a professional security officer, I'd be remiss in my duties if I failed to warn you of the criminal element on the streets in this area, particularly smurf patchers.
Smurf patchers?
Especially in this Hubbardnade.
You know, there's a new motion picture called Chattanooga Choo-Choo, and one of its stars is the very lovely and vivacious Barbara Eden. Now, you know her from I Dream of Jeannie and Harper Valley PTA, a lot of movies. Now, co-starring with Barbara in the new film is the actor and football superhero Joe Namath. Now, in this scene, all Barbara has to do is tuck Joe into bed. Now, let me preface this and say there are a lot of ladies in America who would like this assignment, but Barbara is a true professional. She lets nothing interfere with her work. When she is acting, it is strictly business. Almost.
All right. Under the blanket.
Will you tuck me in?
Yeah.
Cut it.
Ladies and gentlemen, a lady who obviously enjoys her work, Miss Barbara Eden. Good evening, my dear. Thank you. Please sit for a second. You know, women all of America would have killed to have that job. What happened?
Well, that's simple, Dick. You see, with his right hand, he just pulled me down.
He what?
He pulled me down with his right hand. Right hand.
You are saying that Joe pulled you down with his right hand?
Yes.
Would you mind if we had a little instant replay?
Oh, not at all. Joe's used to those.
All right, look here.
Cut it.
Wait a minute. You say he pulled you down? I didn't see anything like that? It was a close call.
I was sleepy.
Now, you brought some more memorable scenes from that picture, Chattanooga Choo-Choo. Before we see them, though, I want to talk to you a little bit about I Dream of Jeannie. Now, that was on for how long? 5
years?
5 years? They had a lot of special effects. You appeared, you disappeared, you got bigger, you got smaller, all sorts of things. They told me to ask you about, was it a pussycat?
No, it was a lion. Working with a lion?
You're serious? Yeah. A lion? A real lion?
Yeah.
What was the setup?
Yeah. Well, this was the first year of Jeannie, and I was pregnant. And
in real life?
Yes, in real life I was pregnant.
I lost, because I never remember Jeannie being with child.
No, Barbara was with child. But I decided that I would go make friends with a lion before I worked. I had worked with a lion before.
Smart thinking.
And they really like to be familiar with the people that they're working with. So I went over and fed him and petted him and everything. And in the scene, I was to sit on a sofa, and I was complaining to my master that I wanted my pet. You know, and please let me have a pet. I'm so bored all alone when he's at work. And he finally gives in, Larry, of course.
Yeah,
and he was sitting right next to me like this, like right here. Fine. And then they put a little bowl of meat, raw meat, by my leg. And
we see this on camera?
Yeah. Well, no, you don't see the meat.
Oh, right.
No. And when you pop an animal or person in, I blink, and then you freeze. Then they brought the lion in, and he ate the meat immediately. And then they said, action, and I went, oh! And the lion turned around, looked at Larry, and went, wow! Like that. Well, Larry was gone. The camera was on the floor.
And
the
you?
whole crew left. I had the lion in my lap.
Was he placid?
He was in my lap.
Was
he
he
was purring and licking my arm.
Lovely.
Purring. But everybody else was gone. I mean, there wasn't a camera. There wasn't
glad you're
a
still
crew
here.
member.
Let me jump to the Chattanooga Choo-Choo thing. What basically is it, first of all?
It's about a not-so-nice son-in-law of a very wealthy man who's about to come into a fortune if he can make the last train ride on the Chattanooga Choo-Choo in a given amount of time.
Well, who do you play in the film?
I play the girlfriend of this not-so-very-nice son-in-law, who is played by the very nice George Kennedy.
Now, you brought us a piece of film. Should you set up the scene for us?
Yes. In this scene, George tells me he wants to marry me, and then he's supposed to kiss me.
And what could go wrong with that? That's really easy. You lean over and you kiss someone.
He couldn't find me.
A wedding?
That's what I said. Now, that's more like it.
Yeah, my mouth's here.
How many kisses did it take?
Oh, enough.
Now, you work with another fine performer, Clu Gallagher.
Yes.
Now, what is the story here?
Well, in this scene, Clu wants to say something like, if I get a shot at it.
If I get a what?
A shot at it.
A shot is the key word? Didn't come out that way.
No.
He went in the best way possible, Estelle.
Oh, it's nice to see you, Sam.
Yeah.
We'll all miss Daddy.
Still think you're going to build a new stadium, Sam?
Yeah, I reckon I got a shirt.
We have a scene here with Melissa Sue Anderson. What's that story?
Well, the words she had trouble saying here were the Duke.
The Duke.
The Duke.
D-U-K-E, Duke. The Duke.
So you're the one who's marrying into royalty. Oh, my, you're certainly pretty enough to be a princess.
Thank you. This is my fiance right here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to call him the Lord.
The Lord, yes. Hey, we were sort of kidding you earlier about that scene with Joe Namath. I hope you know we did it in the spirit of good fun and all of that.
Of course I did, Dick.
Yeah.
Sure I did. Actually, very few things throw me while I'm working. It's just when something happens that I don't expect.
You mean like this little piece of business I have here with Joe Namath?
Yes, yes.
The unexpected.
Yes.
Who is it?
It's me, Duke.
Now, she doesn't know what Joe Namath is going to do when he opens the door. That's why she'll be surprised.
Yes.
Well, I spoke to the boss.
What did he say?
He said...
How many of those did you live through?
Oh, many, many, many.
Barbara, thank you so much for sharing these little gems with us.
It was my pleasure, Dick.
Bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Barbara Eden.
Coming up, Laverne and Shirley, and Sonny and Cher.
You know, if you were to list all the things it takes to make a comedy series like Laverne and Shirley a long-running success, you'd have to include, what, fine writing, slick production values, cast and crew that works together like a well-oiled machine. Now, occasionally there are a few squeaks here and there, and to tell us about those squeaks, we asked one of the comedy stars of Laverne and Shirley, you remember the fellow who played Laverne's father, Phil Foster, to tell us about some of the goodies.
The show we used to do would start on Monday, or Wednesday, or Thursday, depends on how the girls felt. And usually it would be 5 days, but sometimes we did it in 3. And we would rewrite from the time we got the script until the time we did the show. And sometimes we changed that. So if you memorize all those lines, every time you go crazy. I would have trouble forgetting the lines I memorized. And that was the type of show that I would love to do forever, where you have a good time. And that's one thing we did. We enjoyed ourselves. There are those who say that a many splendid thing... I blew the I got to tell you about the time we had a young fellow wanted to be a director. And Gary Marshall, he likes to give young people a chance to become a director. And so this fellow became a director, except he didn't know some of the famous words, the words that are necessary for a director. One is action. If you don't say action, the show doesn't start. So we had a fellow who sat around and kept saying to us, go ahead.
Bill would like to hear the word action.
Well, I don't know.
We're rolling.
We're still rolling.
Still rolling.
Rolling don't mean to me. I like to hear the word action. I'm in show business.
Please, I'm having a relationship with this ironing board.
The characters Laverne and Shirley was and is and will be Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams. Cindy Williams was Shirley, will always be Shirley, because she was Shirley. And Penny Marshall will always be Laverne because she is Laverne. The two of them, and they grew into these, they really grew and matured in these parts, that they were wonderful. I think they made one of the finest comedy teams, men or women, ever.
You know what you are? You're a great big bully. That's what you are. Shirley! You broke my toe! I know, you see what you made me do here?
It's okay. What, Moose?
You know what you are?
Okay, I got it. I want you to act Lily Livid and Chicken Belly just like every... Okay. I want you to act Lily Livid. I got it. I want you to act chicken. That's it? Well, chicken? You know, liver-lilied. I can't. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You want me to act yellow-bellied and lily-livered? Yeah, that's it!
I think people who came there would see the show. We were trying very hard. We never tried deliberately to break up unless we had something where it caused you to break it up. But we tried hard, and so when something would go wrong, and you say, gee, and you said the word, they understood it. They didn't mind. At least I don't think they did. We never got a complaint.
Now, here's where the giggles get the best of them.
I realized something about myself. No, I realized something about myself. I stood there toe to toe, fighting.
Thank you, ladies, and Phil Foster. Now, when it comes to breaking up, we have some of the all-time great gigglers on our show tonight. Recently, we were really lucky to come across some never-before-seen footage of two friends of mine who certainly can giggle with the best of them. I mean, they are up there in the Gigglers Hall of Fame. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, Sonny and Cher.
You know, these days, when you hear a song you like, you sometimes have trouble understanding the words. And that's too bad, because sometimes they skip a few words. Hi. Please be quiet. This is really important. It's been a tough day, and we want to go home.
He's under a lot of pressure, folks.
That's the director's voice, by the way. Here we go.
Do it and get the hell out of here. Okay, right. know, these days when you hear a song you like, sometimes you have trouble understanding the words, but, you know, who gives a You know, these days when you hear a song you like, you sometimes have trouble understanding the words. And that's too bad because there are some really beautiful lyrics being written today.
That's right, but we've solved that problem tonight because when Raymond Burr performs a song, he really performs it, and you know what it's about. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Raymond Burr. Yeah, you funny. You've been slowly pushing me out of the frame.
You know, these days when you hear a song you like, you sometimes have trouble understanding the words, and that's too bad because there are some really beautiful lyrics being written today.
But we've solved... Sonny? Tim? I can't work like this. Son, pretty soon you're going to make it impossible to do this little thing. We're going to be here tomorrow, too.
You know, these days when you hear a song you like, you sometimes have trouble understanding the words, and that's too bad because there are really some beautiful lyrics written. You know, these days when you hear a song you like, you sometimes have trouble understanding the words.
Oh, we've got to do this.
Okay, let's get this way.
We got it, pal.
Oh.
Okay, very quiet in the house. Now let's hit this one. Here we go.
He's losing it.
You know, these days when you hear a song... All right, go ahead. Go right into it. Yeah. I got it. No, I got it covered. Yeah, I got it covered. You ready? Yeah. You ready, Tim?
Yes, sir. Here
you go.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Oh, I think I'm becoming hysterical. All right, here I'll do it.
Okay, let's just... You know, these days, when you hear a song you like, you sometimes have trouble understanding the words. I said sometimes. I'm sorry. Go right into it. Yeah, I got it covered. 5. You know, these days, when you hear a song you like...
Hold on.
You know, these days when you hear a song you like, you sometimes have trouble understanding the words. And that's too bad because there's some really beautiful lyrics being written today.
Well, we've solved that problem tonight because when Raymond Burr performs a song, you really know what it's all about.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Raymond Burr.
Well, sir, I'm afraid we're going to have to pack up our giggles, goofs, flubs, and bleeps until the next time we see you. There will be TV Censored Bloopers number 8 in the offing. And our thanks once again to our guests and all of the people who joined us and gave us all the helping hands, the people in front of and behind the scenes of these rare, wonderful indiscretions we call bloopers. We would not be here without you. And finally, I would like to quote the words of the great man who said, "To err is human, to forgive sublime." Just send us your bloopers. How's that for a rhyme? Thank you very much for tonight. Dick Clark, good night. Thank you.
Later on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, Johnny welcomes comedian David Steinberg. Then rock with Eurythmics, Van Halen, Rockwell, Queen, and more on Friday Night Videos. Tomorrow night, catch an all-new Saturday Night Live with host Edwin Newman, Harry Anderson, and Kool and the Gang. Be there.
That's it, guys.